finished week 2 of The Artist's Way, and it took me 2 weeks to do it. I kind of took a week off because my son was sick and my boyfriend was sick, and there was just a lot going on. And I also feel like any momentum that I had during week 1 just totally fizzled out. But I did read half of chapter 3 yesterday, so I'm feeling motivated again and recommitted. But week 2 was definitely a bit of a lull for me. A lot of what Julia was saying didn't really resonate at all, and some of it honestly kind of bothered me, especially this bit about crazy makers, which I really don't like that term, but it's essentially a person that's in your life, whether it's a boyfriend or a parent or a friend or a boss, who intentionally causes chaos in your life in order to distract you from like your creative pursuits or like your higher calling. And I've definitely had people like this in my life before. Thankfully, I don't have any people like that in my life anymore. But what I didn't like was that she sort of blames the artist for even having people like that in their life. So she says, if you are involved now with a crazy maker, it is very important that you admit this fact. Admit that you are being used, and admit that you are using your own abuser. Your crazy maker is a block you chose yourself to deter you from your own trajectory. As much as you are being exploited by your crazy maker, you too are using that person to block your creative flow. Which just does not feel right. I read that and had to take a pause from the chapter for a little while because it's just very victim blamey, and I don't know. I think the concept that people choose to let abusive people into their life just for the sake, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, to distract them from their own creative pursuits is absolutely ridiculous, especially because a lot of people are born to their abusers or are abused by family members that they had no choice in being related to and can't easily escape. So that part definitely threw me off. Some of the other concepts that she talked about did resonate. I have a couple of highlighted sections. I really liked it when she was talking about her grandmother and talking about like just slowing down and paying attention in life. I definitely needed to hear that. I decided to come out to my car to finish the rest of the video because my boyfriend got home from work and my daughter woke up from her nap, so I don't really have any privacy in the house anymore, and I don't have many more thoughts, so I just want to wrap this up. I didn't like the tasks from this week. I didn't like having to write out where my time goes and then talk about how much of my time is spent tending to others and how much of it is spent ignoring my own desires. That felt like an unnecessary call out, and it also felt like another way that the author's privilege is showing, because there are lots of people who, for a variety of reasons, have to spend most of their time caring for others and ignoring their own desires, like parents and people that are caring for elderly parents or disabled parents or siblings or partners, people that have to work 3 jobs to make ends meet. And I know that this program isn't like, you know, something that's mandatory and no one's making me do this, but it would be nice to be able to engage with the material without feeling like I'm the wrong kind of person to be doing this. I feel like the language could be a little bit more neutral and a little bit more, I don't want to say accessible, but just like inclusive, I guess. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So that task sucked. We also had to write out 20 things we enjoyed doing, and then the last time that we did those things, the exact phrasing that she used when talking about this task. When was the last time you let yourself do these things? Again, I feel like that's like a really privileged way to put it, because while I really enjoy going out to eat and going to the movies and seeing live music and going to art museums and all kinds of other things, I don't always have the resources to do that, whether it's time or money or genuinely the energy. Like, it's not really a matter of like not letting myself do those things. It's that I really can't. And obviously I could prioritize them more if I really wanted to, but I have other priorities in my life right now, and that's okay. So yeah, another way that, I don't know, I feel like the language is just not the best there. To her credit, though, she does say that you can do things that you enjoy in small windows of time, like on a lunch break or in like 15-minute increments or, whatever. And that did feel encouraging. I really didn't like having to repeatedly write down affirmations. I was supposed to write them down. So I was supposed to choose 3 affirmations from the first week and then write them each down 5, and then write each of them down 5 times in the morning pages. And I didn't do that. I chose the 3 affirmations that I had the most resistance around, which were: my creativity heals myself and others, there is a divine plan of goodness for my work, and I am willing to let God create through me. And I wrote each of those down 5 times in like my little notebook that I'm keeping the assignments and my weekly notes in and stuff. But I didn't do it in my morning pages because it felt like a punishment. Writing repetitively like this is something my dad used to do as a form of punishment for me. So I will not get bad grades 500 times. I will not disrespect my mother 1,000 times, And so I didn't participate in that one. And then again, with the time thing, we had to do like a life pie and split it into 6 sections: romance, spirituality, exercise, play, work, and friends. And then chart how much we spend on that thing, how much time we spend on that thing in our life, and then connect the dots. And then we're supposed to examine how uneven the connected dots are, which it's like, okay, I get it. Like, my life is unbalanced, whatever. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I didn't really do my morning pages. I only did them like 2 or 3 times. Didn't really do an artist date. I took myself to the fabric store again and got some secondhand like craft and art supplies. I got some markers and I got a new pincushion, which I'm actually pretty excited about, and I got some secondhand crayons to turn into like sort of marbled crayons, and I found a silicone mold also at the fabric/craft reuse shop. And I'm going to use that to make the marbled crayons. So, I mean, it was fun, but I don't love that I've spent my 2 artist dates so far buying things, like, for my own budget and also just for my own, like, well-being. I need to kind of step away from spending my free time by myself spending money. But I'll do better next week. So far, I've read half of chapter 3, and I'm definitely feeling more in line with the theme of this week. It's recovering a sense of power. And in the first section of chapter 3, she talks a lot about anger, and I'm very familiar with anger. And she talks about it in a pretty positive way as a tool rather than something that should be scared of. So I'm excited to like recommit myself to this whole thing, but week two almost made me give up on the whole thing.